Welcome. Welcome to the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living Sunday services. I'm Leslie Monroe. I'm filling in for Rick, and we're excited to be here. Those of us who went to Big Sky this last week noticed that, were you in triple digits last week? Were you? Yes, well, we weren't quite so hot, but now it looks like we're back to normal, yes? Yeah, so we'll get started here with Seed to Sow.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Steve Matthews, and I am happy to have everybody here today and happy to be sharing with you as the host. This center is a spiritual community where all are welcome. Thank you for joining us here in person or online, wherever you may be. Our center is a spiritual community that teaches a philosophy for daily living based on spiritual principles and practices that are universal among all religions. We honor all pathways by which people seek to know and connect with the divine, and we work on our individual consciousness to help make the world a better place. Isn't that amazing? Our prayer practitioner today is Teresa Martin. And our practitioner holding high watch is Katie Hernandez. And throughout the meeting, she will be holding the best and highest good, ensuring that the best and highest good is unfolding for us together today. From wherever you are, I invite you to join me in stating our center's spiritual purpose. That should come up on the screen. We are an open, welcoming community celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journeys of spiritual discovery. For the latest information on what's happening in our center, be sure to visit our website at www.spirituallyfree.org. Today, our guest speaker is our very own Reverend Linda Brewer. Our music is our very own, we'd like you to be our very own, Mary Otterstrom and Jimmy Ingold. But we're always happy when you're here. Thank you. Yes. The affirmation this week is, "The work of my soul is creating a life that matters." Next week, we'll feature Reverend James Peake as our speaker, whose topic is living your dream. And when I give the announcements, there's some more things about James Peake that I'll share. But first off, we'd like to welcome any newcomers. If there are any new people here today, please raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you. There's one in the back. Thank you. After the service, you can pick up a welcome packet that has a magazine of the copy of The Science of Mind, and that's right out in the lobby with all the information. And if you have any questions, feel free. We're happy to have you here today. Announcements. Our center email, that's office account, our center email account, officeassistant.spiritually.free, is currently not working. So if you need to send any emails during the week, please use SLC Salt Lake, spirituallyfree@gmail.com. It is on the website, and we'll respond to you as quickly as possible. Also this week, every Wednesday in September, Shanti is going to do meditations with her sound bowls and her special guest musicians. That's on Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Join us and refresh your body, mind, and spirit with healing sounds and meditation. And then also this week on Thursday night, Shanti is doing the animal celebration service. It's going to be outside. The information is on the website, but it's 353 West Reed Avenue, Salt Lake City. And that's going to be at 7 p.m. And please bring your pets with you this time if you wish. Then next Sunday, after he speaks to us, Reverend James Peake will be doing a workshop at 1 o'clock that will include lunch, but it's called Finding the One Within. Reverend James Peake is our spiritual education program manager for the Center for Spiritual Living, so that'll be great to have him here with us, and please sign up for that. That'll be a great opportunity. Additionally, we've been talking about it for a while now, but we are still looking for a new location to be moving to. So if anybody has information or sees something during the week, please let us know. Our center was founded on and is grounded in prayer. Prayer helps us deal with the day-to-day issues and create positive experiences regardless of our circumstances. Our professional prayer practitioners are trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer and are ready to pray here with you and for you. You can submit prayer requests on our website's homepage, and our practitioners will be praying for you during the week. The practitioners can be identified by the purple stoles they wear over their shoulders. So please seek them out. They're awesome. Now I invite you to settle in and allow Teresa's reading and centering music take you to the sacred space within. Then she will lead us in prayer.
Creating a life that matters. One's vocation is not something out there at the edge of the horizon, between now and not yet. Vocation is the divine energy already and always at work within us. How can we deepen into the wonder of vocation to create a life that matters? The Quakers say, "Let your life speak." And when we allow our lives to speak to us, we would be wise to listen. Our life says, the very best part of your being have somehow been set aside or gone unnoticed. These are the essential elements that must be lived out loud in this now moment and invited into being as you. The vocation comes from the Latin vocare, or voice. Vocation is about listening to the voice of spirit that lies within and allowing it expression in, through, and as us. Letting your life speak is about making room in your soul for the signs and messages in and around you to lift you up. When your life speaks to you, it invites the truth to be known, first in you, by you, and then as you. The soul then listens for the love, the strength, the determination, and the hope that bid it come. Vocation is not a title, a role, a job, or an occupation. It is the quiet yes, whispered to the soul. Your life never stops speaking to you, so listen for the sounds of the creation of life that matters now more than ever. And the affirmation for today is, the work of my soul is creating a life that matters. All life matters. Every life matters. So in this abundant life, the abundance of life on this planet, we celebrate every single life and the work that is done within that life. Whether it is an insect, an animal, a human, a blade of grass, everything with purpose. There is only life within God. So all life is part of God. It is part of the creation that has occurred. We are of this creation. And on this memorable day, September 11, I honor those who are suffering or have suffered from this momentous occasion. I bless all that they may have peace, peace in their heart. And for all of us, peace in our hearts, that we may have comfort, calm, and an understanding of who we really are. We're the offspring of divinity. That is our real truth. And knowing this truth, we go through this day, this week, conscious of that truth, conscious of being who we really are, offspring of divinity, and our work is the work of our soul. So for this day, for our music team and all who have come together to be in unison, to be in community, I bless each and every one. I bless our music, our volunteers, our congregation, and our listeners, and anyone that I've left out. So giving thanks for all of that, I let it be, as together we say, and so it is.
Now we have a medley. I just see Karen Drucker here, but there was another artist singing the song. I am the heart, and we are remembering.
Of spirit on earth, all that I am and all that I do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world.
Now, while she's already up here, let's bring up her partner. Mary is a teacher. She's done so many amazing things. And one of the biggest gifts that I love is her ability to improvise, which we've been experiencing right here and now, and how she can take spirit, bring that through her body and out through what she plays. She did some tracks for me on some of my music in the studio, and while she was playing in the other room through the glass, I just wept, because that just brings that out. So, and in the lighter note, it just as much as it made me weep, it brings joy to hear. We were hearing them rehearse, to have them play the flavor that they're going to play today. So you may not weep, but the joy is there.
Oh, thank you so much, Leslie. You know, Jimmy and I are so glad to be here today, and I think we definitely want to be considered one of you. This community is such a beautiful community because I feel like this is a community that truly recognizes the beauty of every soul and what people and creatures have to bring to this world. And as we were thinking about what to play today, we were kind of drawn to some old tunes, some fun tunes about work. And one of them is called Leather Breeches. And if you think about leather breeches, leather pants, those are like the perfect kind of pants when you got all kinds of things to do, right? You got to get things done. And then I was thinking a little bit further as my mind goes down these funny little pathways that make sense to me, but maybe nobody else. I was thinking about my own grandfather. He was a coal miner, and his job was to go in front and make sure that things were safe. And I think that that's, being September 11th and thinking about the people who went into that, into the building and all the rescuers and all the people that worked at Ground Zero, made me think about my grandpa, because he was kind of the same sort of, person. I never got to meet my grandpa because he was killed in the coal mine when my dad was 15. But I have this rich legacy from this man who didn't wear leather breeches, but he wore heavy-duty pants. And he went into those mines every day because that's the way he had to support his family. And even though he had a premonition that that mine would take his life one day. And he went before everybody because he was willing to put himself out there to try to protect others. And when he went home at night, he helped care for my uncle who had severe disabilities. And not just my grandma, but also my grandpa never slept through a night because they took care of this little boy who was very sick. And people would say, oh, you should just put him in an institution. But they wouldn't do that because he was their son. And so as I think about the meaning of life and how our work has meaning, I think about people like my grandpa, who never, he was never on the news. He was never, some famous guy. But his life has incredible meaning, and his legacy lived on in my father, who's one of the most gentle men you will ever meet. And I know that that's because of who his father was. So anyway, on that very serious note, we are now going to play something very fun. We're going to celebrate the people who make this world a better place.
it was fabulous. I just wanted to get up and dance. It is wonderful to have this experience in being here, and I was reflecting as we were singing I Am Remembering and then hearing the music and all the wonderful things that we have to be grateful for, even at times when we remember 9/11 or other times with loss in our lives. With that being said, I just wanted to say gratitude, just to remember gratitude. I'm so grateful to be here today to reground myself in this week and be grateful for all the things I have, to be grateful for you, to be grateful for the music and this experience. And particularly today, I'm proud to introduce our Reverend Linda Brewer. So grateful for her and her smiling energy every time I see her. My mom was put in hospice this week, and in some ways there's things that Linda reminds me of her, and so forgive me for being a little emotional at the moment, but just the love that I have felt from my mother, of course, and just dealing with that right now. But as we have these situations, as we remember gratitude, I think that's the most important thing. Reverend Linda Brewer has been an ordained minister since 1970, and that's awesome. I was born in '69, so I was thinking, gosh, she must have been 5 years old when she was ordained, But forgive me.
I'm leaving.
Licensed practitioner, she now serves as our Sunday service coordinator, and we are so grateful for her, for all the things that she does to pull this meeting together. And thank you. Let's welcome Linda Brewer with a warm applause.
I almost had to stand on my tiptoes just to reach it. So, our year-long theme of living everyday wonder is focused this month on the area of our lives that we call work. I know many of you were gone for the holidays, but last week Reverend Myrna started us off with some discussion of the different ways that people might see work. For most of us, when we hear the word work, it means our job, the stuff we do that gets us a paycheck. And she told a great story about 3 different bus drivers that reminded us that within that kind of work, there are several different ways that people may experience their job. For some, work is something they have to do just to survive in the world. And for some of those folks, it probably doesn't bring very much joy to their lives. For others, it's a means to an end. It's an okay way that they spend their days that gives them the freedom to do what is more meaningful and important to them in their non-working hours. For yet another group, it is the vehicle through which the Spirit of God expresses itself most authentically through or as them. And for those folks, their work may be the most meaningful time of their entire day. Myrna reported that for her, work is fun or an adventure. That way, it doesn't feel like work, which means it doesn't feel hard, which is how many people experience work. There are all kinds of definitions and synonyms for work: labor, toil, drudgery, employment, job, occupation, and another one that we're going to focus on today that Teresa introduced us to, and that's vocation. Our topic is creating a life that matters, and the premise is that we do that by discerning and finding out a way to carry out our vocation. So what is vocation? As Teresa reminded us, the word comes from the Latin, vocare. So vocation is listening to the voice of spirit that lives within us and allowing it to express uniquely in something that we are called to do. It's really important to recognize that vocation may be work that is outside our wage-earning job. It is often where we feel most alive. The biblical definition of vocation is a function to which one is called by God, which might include a religious vocation, but could be many other things, including the vocation of marriage. It may or may not be something for which we receive a paycheck. Now, I feel incredibly blessed that I am one of those folks who has felt divinely led through most of my life into jobs and work where I truly felt like it was not work. Not because it was fun, as Myrna talked about. Companioning people who are dying is not something I would describe as fun. But because I felt divinely led to the work, divinely blessed by the gifts and talents I needed to do the work, and where I truly felt that I was just a channel through which Spirit itself was doing the work. I've been blessed. My paychecks have mostly come from my vocation. But I do want to clarify, so I don't confuse you, that giving the Sunday talk is not one of those places in my life where Spirit is talking through me. So please don't let the quality of my talk diminish your faith in Spirit's capabilities, okay? I've been told by many folks out there who tell me they like personal stories in the talks. So I'm going to share how that vocation thing has played out in my life as one example of what we're talking about, and that is when someone is blessed to have their vocation be their profession. I'll also talk about other things. So I was called to a career in spiritual work right out of college. And though the focus of that work changed several times over my lifetime, for the most part, I felt clearly guided by Spirit for each calling. Actually, more accurately, I was always led by Spirit, I just didn't always listen. I majored in theology in college, primarily to see if my own faith could stand up to that kind of intense study. When I graduated, I worked in an outreach ministry to high school kids for 3 years, which primarily happened during the school year and allowed me to do my master's in theology program during the summer. I was ordained as a minister. It was not actually in 1970, because I was ordained the day before my 28th birthday, and that was not in 1970, but a few years thereafter. And I was ordained with a calling to a spiritual counseling ministry, which I had been led to when I went to a workshop for my own healing and got a clear download. This is what you're supposed to be doing. I worked with 2 other ministers in their practice before I founded the Kindred Center, which was a counseling practice that was focused on creating a supportive environment in which people together could transform their lives. I did all my work in groups. That was my soul's work for 25 years before I failed to listen to God's nudgings that I was supposed to be doing something else. And so I ended up here in Utah, immersed in a lot of drama, and in a state which does not have reciprocal licensing with North Carolina. So after a good bit more drama, I was led to the work of healthcare chaplaincy, which I truly, truly loved and felt like it was the best and highest calling of my entire life. I retired as a chaplain in 2019, and even my retirement was divinely led. I was literally in the middle of giving a talk here about not having followed divine guidance when I got a very clear message that it was time for me to retire. And I went home and sent in my letter of resignation that afternoon. So I do want to make it very clear that my example, I don't want it to contribute to a misconception that I think is out there, which is that if we are following divine guidance and committed to living a life that matters, that we'll all be involved in spiritual vocations. But I don't think that's true. If that were the case, we would all be in spiritual jobs, but we wouldn't have a place to meet because no one would have been builders. And we wouldn't have cars to drive here anyway because no one would work to manufacture cars. And besides, we would have all starved to death because no one would be farmers. And even if they were, no one would have been called to be a trucker. And so the food couldn't have gotten to us, and nobody would have been called to work in grocery stores. So we wouldn't have had any place to go buy it anyway. So we're not all called to be reverends or other kinds of spiritual things. We create a life that matters when we're doing the work of our soul. And our soul's work is not necessarily focused on how we earn a living. Thankfully, some folks' highest expression is to be a farmer. I had family who were farmers, and they were called to be one with the land and to grow food. And some people are called to be builders and teachers and nurses and any other of the millions of jobs that we need in the world for the world to function. So not all of us are called to make our primary living in a way that is the highest expression of our spiritual magnificence, although any job can be that. But we are each called to find the blessings in whatever work earns us a paycheck. We're called to recognize and embrace the opportunities to experience everyday wonder in the thing that we spend so many of our days doing. And we're called to be present in that thing we're doing so that we can recognize how Spirit is still available to guide us wherever we are and whatever we're doing. We're blessed with a really wonderful example and embodiment of someone whose vocation is not how they primarily support themselves. And that's our own Rick Charette. I guessed that Rick's highest expression of spirit is through his music, his writing, his arranging, his playing, his attracting other talent to share that journey with him, and a whole lot of other things that are way beyond my understanding of the complexities of music. But currently, his primary way of earning a living is he's a bus driver. Can you imagine getting on a bus and being greeted by the loving spirit that is Rick Charette? I mean, think of those people that are blessed doing that. I was blessed to work with Rick many years ago. I was the hospice chaplain, and Rick's job was to deliver the medical equipment our patients needed in their homes. I can't tell you how many times family members or the patient would tell me how cared about and supported they felt by a visit from Rick Charette delivering and setting up their equipment. He is probably the purest example I have ever known of someone who is always allowing the spirit within him to express through him. I'll make him watch this part. Because he is just always doing that, whether he's involved in his vocation of music or working at the job that he's doing to earn a paycheck. But since he wasn't going to be here to correct me in case I got this wrong, I did check in with him. I bothered him during his vacation, and I wanted to check and make sure that I was perceiving correctly that his vocation is music, which he said was right, but he said it so much more eloquently, I want to share his actual words. He said, "I consider my vocation as a musician to be moving people to where they want to go, inspirationally, spiritually, and even emotionally. And I move them literally, physically, where they want to go as a bus driver. I've loved all my jobs, but no one can prevent me from making and playing music. It is where I choose to create. I love to take people with me in my vocation in every sense of those words." And he truly does. What happens up here every week with our band and our guest musicians is a beautiful example of what happens when someone shows up and says yes to their calling, their vocation, like Rick has, and probably many of our other musicians as well. I think it's also important to recognize as we talk about living a life that matters, that the number one person to whom our life must matter is ourselves. I would guess that we've all encountered people in jobs who clearly are not finding the wonder in what they're doing. They seem to resent having to do whatever it is they're doing to get a paycheck, and that resentment can be felt when you encounter them in their work environment. I would guess those folks are not experiencing their connection to the spirit within as they go about their workday. Yet, isn't that really what we are all called to do? Even when we're not doing that thing which most fully expresses our highest purpose in this lifetime. I used to tell my spiritual care volunteers at the hospital, after many weeks of training and study and how-tos, they did get some training before this, but I told them that all they really needed to do was to stop before going into the patient's room. And while they were sanitizing their hands, which we always had to do, to get centered and remind themselves that the presence of God is within me. It's within the patient and family just beyond that door. And it's in whatever I encounter in there. And my only job is to recognize and express that while I'm in there. And I think that's really true for all of us. Whatever you do to earn your paycheck, what would it be like for you if you did what I reminded my team to do? Recognize that as you do that work, God is present in you and is present in each person or situation that you encounter. If and when we do that, we are living a life that matters to ourselves and to those other expressions of spirit that we encounter during our days. I bet we can all think of folks we encounter while going about our lives who are clearly letting spirit express through them. There's a woman I have never met who has been blessing my life for 1.5 years now to help me get special orders for my grocery pickup. Shortly after I placed my first order, she graciously gave me her cell phone number, and she invited me to use it anytime I needed help. As time has gone on and we've communicated back and forth, she prayed for me when I was getting ready to have surgery. And I offered her support when her father died and on the anniversary of his death. Now, I would not know this woman's face if she rang my doorbell. And yet I can feel Spirit expressing through and as her every time we connect in a text message. And I loved Myrna's story last week about the woman at the self-checkout who saw her job as being to brighten the day of those she encountered at work. And we all have the opportunity to bless others wherever we go, whatever we're doing. I walked into a Taco Bell a zillion years ago, and some man was yelling at the manager, berating her over something that was wrong in his order. And he was abusing her in a way that there is nothing that could have been done that warranted that kind of abuse. Finally, he stormed out of the restaurant. And as she was working to compose herself, she looked up and she said, "Can I take your order?" And I told her how sorry I was that he had treated her like that, and that she did not deserve to be treated that way. And I complimented her on her professionalism, that she did not respond to him in kind. And I asked if there was anything I could do to support her. And then I listened while she shared with me how very hurtful that had been. Fortunately, no one was in line. She then refused to let me pay for the order, which I struggled to accept but finally did. And for many years after that, she never allowed me to pay for my food when I went in there. Now, I didn't expect anything in return when I comforted her. But sometimes the blessings come back to us multiplied. More often, probably, we may not even get the gift of knowing how our willingness to show up as Spirit has blessed another, but allowing ourselves to express that God that lives within us is its own reward. When we do that, there is no more separation or living a life divided between one thing and another. When our lives speak for us, they speak words of purpose, intention, and wholeness, bringing us into the allness of who we have been called to the world to be. As Matthew Fox says, our lives are stories of how our I amness came to be and how it flowers into a unique and beautiful expression of the Divine One, the image of God that comes to birth once in a universe in us. Ram Dass has another term for this commitment to expressing our vocation that we've been talking about. He calls it compassionate action, and he describes 3 levels of it and one simple step for how to get there. He says the 3 levels of compassionate action that I see are, first, you do compassionate action as best you can, as an exercise on yourself to come closer to God, to Spirit, to awareness, to oneness. Next, you start to appreciate that you are part of something larger than yourself, and you are an instrument of God. No longer are you doing it to get there. You're now doing it as an instrument. And third is when you lose self-consciousness and you are God manifest. You're part of the hand, the mind, the heart of God. Then you're not doing anything. You're just being God in the flesh. How do you get to the third one, he asks? By honoring others and being patient. I want to remind us that the first step on which all others rest in Ram Dass's equation is for our compassionate action to begin with ourselves. with our awareness of the oneness with that which created us and which did so, that it might express itself uniquely as who it created us to be. Now, for each one of us, that will look different. For some of us, it might manifest through a spiritual profession. For others, it might show up in the more personal areas of our lives. While I think she was a woman of many gifts and talents, I feel like my mom had her highest expression as a mother. My mom nurtured her children by encouraging us to be who we came here to be, and not who she wanted us to be. I knew that there was nothing I could do that would stop her from loving me. I, on the other hand, was not called to that expression of spirit through me, though given the area in which I was born and raised, there was a lot of pressure on me to be a mom. How grateful I am to have been blessed with parents who always supported me in being what I felt called to be, even when they couldn't comprehend my choices, and even when they really wanted grandchildren. Frederick Buechner defines vocation as the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. Buechner's definition also starts with the inward idea of self and moves outward toward the world's need. Our vocation is that which is our highest spiritual calling, and it may or may not express through that which brings us a paycheck. So, to create a life that matters, we're being called to discover and work on two things. First, how do we live all of our life in a way that we allow the Spirit within us to guide everything we do? And second, where is our highest calling? That place where our deep gladness with what we are doing and being creates that which in and meets the world's needs, which we were created to address. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I find the first one way harder, like listening to Spirit all the time. After I retired as a chaplain, as some of you know, I'm sure, I took on a number of roles here at the center. Things that, while I may have skills that allow me to do them, too often feel like Linda doing them, rather than how it felt when Spirit was doing counseling or companioning the sick through and as Linda. Yet that is what we are each called to do in all aspects of our lives. Allow ourselves to recognize that we're expressions of the divine, and it wants to show up in every aspect of how we choose to live our lives. The spiritual principles and tools we learn here, especially in the deeper study of our classes, can help us to do that more easily. And that is a large part of why we are here in spiritual community, so that we can help each other along that journey to which we are each called, to radiate the wholeness of the living Spirit in everything we do. So as we get ready to be in prayer together, I want to share a couple of important quotes for you to ponder this week, or as Myrna says, homework. Vincent van Gogh said, "Your vocation is not what brings home your paycheck. Your vocation is what you were put on earth to do, with such passion and such intensity that it becomes a spiritual calling." So I ask you, have you discovered yet what you were put on earth to do? And do you recognize that it may change at different times in your life? Life is not static, especially our spiritual expression. It's ours to discern from moment to moment as we go throughout our days. And finally, a quote from Thomas Merton. Discovering vocation does not mean scrambling towards some prize just beyond my reach, but accepting the treasure of true self I already possess. That true self dwells within each one of us. It's always available if we're willing to be still, to listen to the guidance both from within and that which is brought to us by other expressions of that same spirit that we are blessed to encounter everywhere we go. Your life matters. So keep asking yourself, how is Spirit wanting to express through me today? I'm really looking forward to sharing that journey of discovery with you in the days and weeks and months to come. Let's pray together. How very grateful I am that the Creator chose to express itself so magnificently through everyone here, whether they have discovered that or are still searching. How grateful I am that that Spirit that created us lives within each one of us and is always available if we're willing to stop and listen and follow those nudgings that it gives to us. How blessed we are that the vocations of this music team show up here each week, and our gifted special musicians like Mary and Jimmy, and all those that share their gifts and talents with us. I'm so grateful how Spirit expresses through Raj and Rob and our audiovisual team, through Amanda serving us coffee, and through Sue and Nancy and Gail and all those who greet us when we come in. Make sure that we have access to what's going on. And to all the folks who work behind the scenes, including our blessed practitioners, who are always knowing the best and highest for each one of us. And so today I am knowing for each person here that if you are not yet clear of your vocation, that it will be revealed. Because that same Spirit that guided me through so many blessed opportunities is guiding everyone here. We just need to be still. And so in gratitude for this beautiful day, in the memory of those lives that mattered, that we lost so many years ago on 9/11, I just give thanks. And let this word be, because the law is already at work, making it so. And so, in gratitude, together we say, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
We are so blessed by these incredible folks up here vocating as they are. Is that a word? I think I just made it up. And we're so blessed to have this awesome spiritual community. I want to just remind you to save the date for October 15th and 16th, when we will have Reverend Cindy Edelson here to candidate as our new senior minister. I'm excited. So this is that sacred time during our service where we participate in the spiritual practice of recognizing the blessings of that which comes to us, and we participate in it by keeping the flow going and sending it out into the universe, including to support our spiritual center, since what we learn here helps us deal with every moment of every day. At least we hope so. So I invite you all in a spirit of gratitude to bring your gift into your mind, into your hand, into your heart, whatever serves you appropriately. And let's say together our offering affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Filled with gratitude, I let this be, and so it is.
All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shines upon my face. All that I need comes to me. I've been set free, I'm released. I've been set free, I'm released. The burden of my past has gone away at last. I've been set free, I'm released. All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shines upon my face. All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me.
Now we welcome back Mary and Jimmy, right?
All right. Well, this next tune is definitely one that I think is made to make you want to dance. Feel free to do that if you feel moved to do that. This is a tune. It's called Dusty Miller, and I think this Miller really likes his job because he's having a good time. Are we supposed to keep going? Keep going. Okay, I'm just gonna go.
Did that make you want to dance? Some of you may have. Yes. Yeah, okay, I was backstage. All right, thank you for joining us today. Is there anything else we get to remember other than to stand up for our finishing song? And you can rock your way out of the building eventually. Yes.
There we go. Yeah, glory. Here we go.